Yo, what up?
Peace, peace. What's the deal, fam?
Chilling, chilling. What's up with you?
Well, same old, man. It's out here watching these crazy times.
No doubt, man. I was like, how, like, what you been up to? Like, what type of have you been recording during the Corona or?
I can't say I've really been recording, but I have been writing. So since I
Uh,
moved out west, I have like a new setup. So I have a mic and my laptop and all that. So I'm just kind of recalibrating that whole setup. But in the meantime, I have been writing, been working on like a new project or whatever. So I'm about ready to get back to it. Actually this weekend. So it's been a minute, but yeah, I'll be back up in the booth.
so that's dope. Like, well, yo, when I was the drums album, and I was like, yo, this is the type of hip hop that I love, like that boom bap hip hop that I grew up on, and
Word.
um, I listened to it again this morning, and like the production on it was great, and the features that you had on there, and I'm honored that you will come on here because like I had my first real like artist on here, you know. Rocker, what up?
Mhm.
Yeah. So like how did you start? Like how your upbringing like with music and like
Mhm.
what made you decide to be like an artist and all that?
Mm. Well, I guess I grew up having I would say like I grew up in a musical family, like not like musical as far as they were other musicians, but they just played a lot of music. Like my moms and pops had like an extensive vinyl collection and all that. And so like, I was always a fan of music. I got into hip hop early. It was the new thing. I was wild young, but Michael Jackson was, he was popular, and then it got into the breakdancing, and then just got into the hip hop. And I just grew up with that. It was like, like hip hop was like my big brother or something. So it was just always like, natural to me. But as far as rapping, I
Mhm.
never really considered myself a rapper. And I was like an aficionado. So I would study other rappers. I knew, I would repeat their lyrics, and then it was like actually friends of mine that started to kind of urge me, like, hey, you should write your own thing, man. The way you can, spit their rhymes is good. You know about this stuff. So I think one time I was complaining, like, oh man, that shit is whack, and they're like, who are you to say it's whack? You don't even rap. And they were like, why don't you try to rap? And so I wrote a rap, and they were like,
Mhm.
okay, okay, yeah, maybe you should rap. Maybe you should rap. And then so I was very shy and nervous at first. There wasn't a lot of white dudes rapping. So it just felt very foreign to me as far as me taking that role. But like they were really adamant, like, yo, no, listen, you gotta run with this, you gotta rock with that, you got some talent. And so I was
Right.
apprehensive at first, and then I just dove in, and that was that. And then I realized, I guess at a certain point, after doing it for a year or two, I was like, yeah, I guess I'm pretty decent. And then I just got the passion for it, and I just kept writing and writing, and yeah, and then I decided at that time, I was living in Boston, in and around Boston and Massachusetts when I was a kid, and then I was like, all right, they had a little scene there, but there wasn't really a whole lot popping. So I was like, where am I going to go to take this to the next level? And
Right.
like Brooklyn, because that's where all the people that I was respecting was really from. It seemed like there was something about that place. And
Right.
Guru from Gangstar, who's from Boston, he had done the same move. So I was like, all right, it looked like it was pretty successful. Successful jump off for him. So I was like, all right, let me go to the Lions Den. Let me go to where all the sharks are if I really want to sharpen my skills, because I'm good for these kids around here. But let's see.
Right.
And so I just dove in, and yeah, that was just kind of how it started for me. It started kind of spontaneously and just organically, and that's kind of the way my whole thing has been. Um, since then, it's like I've done the label thing from the album that you heard and stuff like that. But where I
Yeah.
guess where a lot of people that have like this desire to have a career and have like this certain making it into like a commercial thing, which is awesome and you really probably should do. I always had just I almost came at it from like from like a hip hop purist type of standpoint, where I just want to like I want to do the best thing. I want to just make good music. And it's like, so it's hard for me, at least, fusing like art and commerce. You know what I mean? They seem like not, they seem like two ends of the spectrum. So that's always been like a little challenging thing for me. So, but I've always been around. I've always been writing. People might, not hear from me for a while. Like, yo, what happened to you? I'm like, I'm still here. I'm still doing my thing, but you might not see me out there like that. But if you look for me, you can find me, because for me, it's all about the music, not so much my ego and myself. And luckily I've had side hustles and stuff like that to make money. So it hasn't been like this thing where like, yo, I gotta hustle hard and like do some music that I'm not really feeling so I can make this money. So I haven't had to really compromise myself. So at the end of the day, I have a catalog that kind of like is starting to shape up. I still haven't even really done my best work yet, and I've been doing it for a while. So it's fun for me still. And, I'm still that same fan, really, just rapping.
Facts. Yeah, like my bad. I didn't even give a proper introduction. This is one day
Yeah.
underground artist from England, right?
Well, so my bust, that was you were breaking up there for me for a second.
Oh, I was saying you moved to Boston early, right?
I moved to Brooklyn. Like I grew up like as a kid, like as a real small kid, in Boston. But I moved to Brooklyn when I was 18.
That's dope. That's dope. I've been you know all my life, so
Word.
I definitely connection. I feel what you're saying, and
Yeah.
grew up
Yeah.
on a lot of music and hip hop, and you know,
Yeah, I could tell from the feed, from the IG feed, that I was like, all right, yeah, we've been listening to the same albums. I can tell, by some of the stuff how old it is. I was like, okay, I think we grew up on a lot of the same music, so there's definitely like a resonance there. And yeah, there's that. That's the thing, is like, a lot of times people will complain about whatever is going on in hip hop now and stuff like that, but there's still people like you and I and that community out there. So it's good to link up with folks like that. You know what I mean?
definitely.
You know. So
And even now, it's like when I bring like people on, like friends or whatever, like we all listen to the same type of music. So you know,
mhm. Word. I mean, yeah, I'm real. I'm like I have like diverse musical interests and stuff like that, and like so, I grew up on hip hop as a kid, but then as I started to make it, it's like I kind of like stopped listening to it quite as much, which I'm not like, I still listen to it, for I would find things here or there. People would be like, oh, you need to check this, this and that. But I'm not like maybe the biggest like up on everything that's going on currently in hip hop. Like, I'm kind of more the creator or whatever, but I definitely like to check in. I also don't like to try to be too influenced by, what other people are doing. But you have to check out and see what's going on, and each person can inspire you. When I hear someone come with some next level shit, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, wow, I gotta
facts.
step the game up. It's starting to get more serious out here. So it's a good thing. It's still like like that type of healthy competition I've always liked. Um, that was the first way I kind of got involved in rapping too, because like there wasn't a whole lot of shows when I was in Boston. I was still in high school and stuff like that. I'm still a minor, so but when I went to Brooklyn and New York, the first thing that was popping off was the little mic battles and the jump off. So I was like, all right, it's going to be a way for me to start to just get on. So that's what I started doing or whatever. So I came out of that whole school.
Mhm.
And I enjoy the competition and the rivalry MCs have with each other, like pushing the whole movement forward.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I was talking about that last night.
Mhm.
I think that's what's missing from hip hop is that competitive battles that we used to have back in the day. Because you don't really
Mhm.
see that no more. You might it's like once in the blue about
Mhm.
Drake and Pusha or you know what I mean. But it's not the same as like when Keras One was going at MC Shan or Jay Z
Yeah.
and Nas or LL and Kumo D. And I think they
Mhm.
need to bring that back, especially for this culture now, where the young generation don't really know about battling and what like a real battle is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if like an artist like Kendrick, if Kendrick, yo, I'm the best
Mhm.
right now, should prove like battle Conway, battle
Mhm.
Benny, battle you know anybody that's considered like one of the best right now.
Yeah.
Listen
That.
from
Yeah, there was a lot of response when Kendrick said that, like, and as it should be, because like the thing that I always liked about hip hop prior to it becoming like super commercial was it kind of policed itself.
yeah,
It was the the community is going to tell you whether you're whack or not. You know what I mean? And it's like, and same thing. If a certain MC is getting out of line, some other MC is going to check him. And so it's like it had its own, like, it's inner policing of itself, to say, what was going on at that time. And now it's like, yeah, they have the battle rapping circuit, like, that's a whole, seemed like it's a whole nother thing that went off to this own separate thing. The cats that just battle
Right.
with no beat, in parking lots and shit like that, which is cool. I mean, they come with, but that's like a whole nother thing. It's like the difference between, like, I don't know, like movies and like the theater or something. It's like two different kind of like scenarios for me, I feel like.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, within hip hop itself, within people who are actually making the tracks and stuff like that, because now it's become so commercial. It's like it's hard, you can't have no beef because everybody like features each other on each other's albums to try to get
Right.
that promo or that other person's
Exactly.
listeners and stuff like that. So now it's like a big, we are the world with all the hip hop artists, just everyone on the same track. So, which is
Right.
cool. You see a lot of people, getting together, and making, collabing. And that's cool. But yeah, no, I totally agree. There should be like a little bit more just healthy competition, not like,
Exactly.
East Coast, West Coast beef. Like I'm gonna kill you, but it's just like I'm
Right.
gonna I'm gonna test you on your skill level.
I agree. I agree. And remember, like when Big Pun came out with Capital Punishment, and he was
Mhm.
saying, like, they were trying to beat, No Way Out. That was like a lot of people was liking that album, even though it was Puffy and he wasn't really, considered a rapper. But album they were trying to beat No Way Out, and you know a lot of artists were like totally against that whole shiny suit era, and what Puff was doing over there on Bad Boys. So when you had like artists coming out, like Nori came out at that time, and DMX,
Mhm.
and they were trying to beat what he was doing, and that's how it should be.
Word. Yeah, that's exactly trying to you got to speak you got to speak your piece. You know what I mean? I felt like when Puffy was coming out, it was getting a little more commercialized. That's what I was speaking of. Like the hip hop itself is saying, hold on, we don't want it to go that direction. We're gonna control it like this. I'm gonna make a really dope album, but in that real true school sense, and knock that shit out the box. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the thing that I really miss about hip hop is it was that communal aspect and that fact that you had like elders and people who could kind of set the tone. Now it's like it's all someone can pop out of nowhere and they're the newest truth and everyone's listening to what they're saying. But like and like I said, in hip hop, like you had to come up through the ranks. You had to like earn your stripes. You know what I mean, it was like a process, and like is as much as there was an issue, with the labels. I'm not really feeling as well. Like at least I do like the fact that there was like some sort of like I guess you call it like yeah, like not creative control. That's the wrong word I'm thinking of. It's like it's more like you did have to prove yourself. Like even to go to the studio, like you had to pay money. So that just in that alone, you had to be of a certain mindset. Like I'm real serious about this. Nowadays, anyone can just start recording some stuff on their computer real cheap. So it's like everyone gets to get into the game. Before you had to save up for your demo, save up for your studio time, go around, hustle it out. You had to like really, you had to really want it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
now people can kind of just get it a lot easier, which is cool. You can take. I should be taking advantage of that technology probably a lot more. But it's like I like the fact that back in the day you had to really hit the pavement. You had to hustle hard for that. It wasn't just given to you so easily.
True. That's facts. That's facts. I think the social media made it easy for a lot of these artists to get on.
Mhm.
And back in the day, you had to take your demo up to the label, and maybe
Yeah.
even meet, if you're lucky, somebody important at the label. Now they have their own following on social media, so they can promote their own brand.
Right. Right. And that's fair enough. Like, if they have their own, own people that who are checking in and feeling them like that. I just feel like, yeah, there's been a lot of, like anyone can kind of fraudulate something online, more or less.
Mm.
So it's like, without those in-person meetings and knowing really what someone's motives are, like I say, it's easy to
Man.
just out. And sometimes these artists are blown up, overnight. That's awesome. Like, I'm not gonna hate on the next person's success. Some of these kids that have come out of nowhere, they're like truly like just unbelievably talented. That one young dude who passed away, his name is
Pop
escaping me
Smoke.
right now. Juice World. Juice
Oh,
World
Juice
was
WRLD. Okay.
amazing, like amazing freestyle abilities and stuff like that. And so he was like a younger dude who, like, I feel like for whatever reason he must have gone back and really checked the files, and he was like, has studied the game a bit. And I was like, wow, that's what happens when you mix, all the advantages of being able to digest so much stuff through the internet. But then if you checked out the right things and you did your homework and you checked out some of the earlier MCs, you could tell that from his flow. But I was like, so I'm not hating on the fact that people can, just come out of nowhere and blow up, because if they got that talent, because now you can just be exposed. But yeah, there should be some sort of, I mean, there is in a way, the hip hop community till, to this day, people like you and me, we're gonna judge it a certain way, but like, all right, let's see, let's really discern on this to see if it's real deal.
True. So how? I mean, I've seen you. You took You have like a picture with Sean Price on your IG. Like, how did that
Yeah.
like collaboration happen with Sean Price and leading to y'all doing like a couple of songs together?
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Actually, guess that ties into the last thing I just said. So I shouldn't really be shitting on social media too much, because the way that we linked up back in the day was actually through MySpace.
Okay.
Um, the back in the MySpace days, and I was new to all that. I was new to social media. I was new to even having a computer, all that type of stuff. I was crazy late, but I remember having to do a show one time at like Joe's Pub, and they were like, "All right, what's your MySpace?" And I was like, "My MySpace, I don't got a MySpace." They're like, if you don't have a MySpace, you can't perform because we can't even promote you on this bill." And I was just
Yeah.
like, "All right." I went home and made a MySpace, and then was like, "Yo, you can just like, just email like people, like you can email Guru right now. This is his page." I was like, "What the hell is this?" So I started, I think, one night had a few drinks and just started literally, emailing like every MC that probably influenced me,
Yeah.
and probably in inappropriate ways, whatever, just rando out of nowhere. "Yo, what's good, fam?" And the only person who responded was Sean P. And like, I think I probably said something really, probably something inappropriate. I was like, "Yo, what's good, fam? I heard your new album." He had just dropped the Monkey Bars. I was like, "What's up with this collab? I don't have any money for you, but maybe I'll let you smoke some of my trees."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Bet," and left his home phone number. I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "This is that was easy." I called up the next day, and someone picked up, but like, "Yo, who this?"
Mm,
It was Bernadette, his wife. I was like, "This is one day." She was like, I was like, "Can I speak to Sean P?" She's like, "All right, hold on."
mm,
And I hear in the background, "Yeah, it was one day." He picks up the phone. "Yo, what up, B?" And that's how we met. Now, of course, for the first collab, I did end up, having to pay a fee. But then, we actually became friends more than anything else, and then we did two more songs after that. So I think we did a total of 3 tracks. Probably could have done a lot more. But I didn't really, I didn't take advantage of that the way he was actually asking me to. We had a liking, we had like a certain resonance when we first met. So we kind of, just became friends. Like the first studio session we had when we did that song, I think his birthday was coming up next week. And he was like, "Yo, B, you like fish?"
mm,
And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, come to my spot, man. My birthday next week, 17th." And I was like, "All right, bet." I went to Brownsville, went to his birthday, and I'm like, "Wow, this is very strange." I grew up listening to Boot Camp Click, and now Sean
mm,
Price is apparently my friend. So I was just bugged out. I never really even got over the kind of like starstruckness probably until the end. And he didn't like when I would bring it up, because I saw him. I went to school in Maryland for one year, Towson University, and I saw him. The whole boot camp was there, and I brought that up, and he was like, he didn't like to, thinking about the fact that I was his previous fan and shit like that.
yeah,
But we became friends, you know what I mean? And he would always say like, "Yo, B, use me." You know what I mean? He's like, I got a name in this industry, man. And I didn't take advantage of it nearly enough, because, it's like, he was my man. I wasn't trying to ride his coattails or whatever, but I probably should have took care of it. Probably should have hopped on a couple tours, like when he
mm,
was, let me, allow me to do stuff like that. And I was just doing my own thing in Brooklyn, and I had other stuff going on. But that's a really good dude. That's the most genuine dude I ever met in hip hop for sure. And just
mm,
one of the most like endearing, like, solid people I met all around. Really, really great guy. So that was like my big bro. Sad thing is we were talking about like he was gonna for real start that Ruck Down jump off and do his own label, and I was gonna get down with that, and we had started kind of like I started finally doing what he said, like yo, come around more, B, come around more, you know what I mean? And I was hanging around, and we did another song, and then like shortly after the tragedy happened, but he was a great dude, always trying to look out, and yeah, I originally just met him through MySpace way back in the day, and he became like a good friend.
That would definitely rest in peace to Sean Price, man. That was
Yeah.
a great MC, and I always tell people like I felt like during the 2000s, like he was waving that duck down flag and kept them relevant. When
Oh yeah.
nobody else was really dropping. I mean, you had Buckshot dropping the albums with Ninth Wonder.
Hmm.
You had Rock did a couple mixtapes and Steel, but Sean Price really coming out with Money and Jesus Christ Superstar, one of my favorite albums from him,
Yeah.
and Mike Tyson, and he really kept
Hmm.
that flag waving for that whole crew, and we lost a
Big
legend.
time. Yeah, I mean he and for me, like the no disrespect, like to be 100% honest. I mean I've told him this before myself though, but like back in the day, like not that in any means that he was like not fucking still amazing, but that click was so strong. He definitely
Yeah,
was not like my favorite member. You know what I mean? Like I was he or the most prolific to me at that time. I noticed his rhymes; they were intricate and stuff like that. But Rock was crushing it. Cocoa Brothers, Smith and Wesson was crushing it. Um, Strang Wonder, they all were just killing it with verses. So like, it's like his verses didn't really stand out. And then, I remember I had a friend, he was like an industry head or whatever. And he's like, yo, man, you got to check that new Sean Price. He's like, it's the best comeback I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, Sean Price. I was like, wow, yeah, I haven't really heard that name in a while.
man.
And I that album, Monkey Bars, and I was just like, holy fucking shit. I was like, yeah, that is a serious comeback. And like I said, not that he was in any way, an average MC before, but just to take it up like, 8 fucking levels and then just bong hit you with that shit. It was just like, it was fucking like amazing. So yeah, and then he just ran with it, and like he brought that whole label back. To this day, I think they're probably still feeding off of his fumes of all that that heat that he was producing, man. So R.I.P. An unbelievable person, unbelievable father, unbelievable husband. He's just like he's just that dude, man. I mean, there's a reason why there's people like worldwide with like Sean P tattoos. I've seen like Bernadette will post them on the feeds. Like people every country, man, 100 people got Sean Price tattooed on their body because he left that kind of impression on you. Even if he just met you for a bit, I'm sure even fans would say that because he was very very genuine, man. So that's rare in this industry for sure, where there's a lot of like snaky,
Hmm.
snarky type of people. He was straight up and down. You knew where you stood with him. There was no real faking. Just the way that he talked on the record, like that was not like a little persona. That's just
Right.
him on the daily. You know what I mean? So it was refreshing.
That's dope. And I love the collabs he did, like the John McEnflow from the Last of the Mohicans mixtape. That was
Right.
dope. Um,
Mhm.
the track on Days and Times, I can't pronounce it. Abu. Yeah,
Oh, Abu Ghraib. I think yeah, that's the name of that. It was like that kind of that like military prison where they were holding so-called terrorists and all that type of stuff. But it
he
was like a torture chamber type of feel to the song, whatever. But yeah.
yeah. That I love that mic play between you and Sean, and that beat was fire. And just
Word.
like some of the lines he was saying, like, I don't do songs with Razzcast, I do songs with whack ass rappers with Fast Cash.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then he ended up doing a song with Razzcast after that. But yeah, that was like the thing with P too is his verses were always so prolific. But I felt
Mhm.
like he talks about it. He's like he liked to hang around with other MCs that he kind of feared, and he was I like to hang around killers and stuff like that. But every time we would do a song, I felt like he would turn it up another notch. I'd be like, all right, I think I can come on his level this time. And then he would just bong hit me with a new one. I'd just be like, man, but like you kind of embarrass me on my own songs every time. But what am I gonna do? Like I can't, people will be like, the first song that we did, I went back to the studio and I recorded it like 3 times,
Mhm.
trying to get it a little better, rewriting it, and everyone's like, yo, the first one was fine, man. What you trying to do? I'm like, yeah, man. But like P kind of like burned me on that, man. They're
Right.
like, yo, that's P, man.
Yeah.
Like, get used to it. That's what that's what he does. So but yeah, he's very competitive, like, and very like, he listened to so much shit, man, and it was just his work ethic, man. That's the thing. Even after all that time, every single time I went over to his crib, he's in the kitchen, he's got beats on, he's rapping, and that was his secret, man. Like, he said he rapped every single day. He's like, I do this shit at least for an hour every day, like even like a workout, you know what I mean? And so
Right.
like he writes and would rap, and I'm like, in the shows in the bars, because he had that real work ethic, man. But yeah, I learned a lot from that dude. But he was serious with the bars, man.
Right. And then like I noticed that you had some production from Marco Polo and Evidence. Like
Yeah.
how did you hook up with those two? Because I mean I think Evidence is highly underrated as a producer and an MC, and I love his production and like tell me like how did you like meet up with Evidence to do anything with them?
Evidence was and I never to be 100% transparent, I haven't even never met Evidence, and that was through Sean P. And that was it's like I was kind of going to be speaking, like saying before, like Sean was like a big student of it, and he listened to everything that came out. And he put me on to Evidence. He was like, I knew about Evidence from Dilated Peoples, and I was like, yeah, that dude's pretty nice or whatever. But he's like, but nah, man, his first solo album that he did, I think that might have been, I'm not sure if that was Cats and Dogs. So the first
That
one that
was
he did,
the Weatherman.
Weatherman, like
Yeah,
back around in 2008 or something like
yeah.
that. The first one he dropped, so like P was raving about it. He's like, "Yo, that's the best hip hop album of the year," and I was like, "What?" I was like, so I went and checked it out, and I was like, "Damn, yeah, that shit is tough." I was like, "Yo, you think you would, you think you do a track with me, whatever?" He's like, he's like, hit him up. So I hit him up and was like, "Yo, I'm P's boy," and he's like, "Well, yeah, I normally don't, do shit with people I don't know, but if you're P's boy," so we did the track. And yeah, that's how that came about. But it was a super good look, and that was strictly on the strength of me knowing P. So I appreciate him for that. Marco Polo, I know him from way back. Like I know Marco when he first came to Brooklyn, before when he was giving away beats,
Right.
um, trying to get anybody to rap on him. So he hustled hard too. And but yeah, I knew him forever, man. I knew him from when he was first starting out. He's a real good dude too. Really, he
So
has real
so
studio.
as an artist, like when you get like a beat from Evidence or like Marco or Stu Bangers, like do you like approach it differently than like like any other track, or is it like always the same procedure?
That's a good question. I wonder if like who produced it has an effect. I think it probably does. Like subconsciously without me really thinking about it. But like really, like I know for me as an artist, like I get into the beat based on kind of the beat, the sonics that it gives me, and like. But normally, so with that said, normally like if it's one of those guys, if it's a Stu Bangers, Marco, Domingo, some of these guys that I've got beats from who really know how to create that sound, that vibe I like, then it's like, it's gonna be kind of natural that I just go in on it. Of course, like yeah, that's that thing we were speaking about before. When you know that it's a certain track that okay, people are gonna be listening to this a little bit more because it's this producer, so his fans gonna be listening to it. Like that you're gonna really come extra correct on that one. So yeah, you might just really give it a bit of an extra touch. You have that extra kind of motivation. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty of hip hop. I like that type of stuff where just like you are like moving up and progressing, and then you're like, damn, I'm doing a track with this guy, like and it's that feeling of fusing those energies, man. So that was definitely the way it was when I first did a song with P. Um, and a few artists that I work with, I was just kind of geeked off on at the first time. M Phases is another producer that like I was like, wow, that came about through the label because that guy was doing like a lot, kind of bigger stuff or whatever. And when I got his track, I was like, oh damn, I'm doing like it's like some big time producer stuff. So
That's dope. And I was checking out the freestyle for Rap Don't Belong at the Grammys. Like, what was your like
Mhm.
thought process in doing that? Is that like a big, like saying like "f you" to the Grammys, or like that's just how you feel? Like,
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I still remember when they wouldn't put hip hop in the Grammys. You know what I mean? So I never kind of forgot that. So like that's what I was speaking on before, where I was like, I feel like hip hop should have its own it should have its own awards. You know what I mean? Like the fact that someone before who wasn't even validating your music is now like, oh, okay, you guys are popular now. Now we'll, we'll vote for it. We'll rank it for you. I'm like, I don't know, no thanks. I don't need you to tell me what the hottest album is. And so yeah, it's kind of like, again, no hate on all the artists who do that hip hop and all that type of stuff. And like I'll get on Macklemore and stuff like that. And those guys are talented, don't get me wrong, whatever. But it's like, like I said, hip hop has its own aesthetics and it has its own kind of standards and stuff like that. So like one of these big, these big music bodies that, rate all different types of music. Like I guess, they can rate it on that level as far as it being an industry thing. Like what was the most units this year and stuff like that, but it definitely don't mean what's the best album this year and that type of stuff, like the most talented. That's the thing I miss about hip hop was like it was before it was so much more kind of talent based. It was judged by the community, and it was more or less like who's got the hottest shit. That's what's the best is. And you always have to do something different. All those things that us old boom bap guys talk about is like before you couldn't have a style that was similar. That was like suicide. So you had to be different. And now if you're different, like you might just X yourself out from being noticed or whatever. You have to kind of blend in and sound the same. So, but yeah, the Grammys are not like my favorite award show. Long story short, so that was just kind of a little.
You lost it.
My bad. Let's cut out there for a second.
It's all good. Nah, that's I definitely feel you on that. I mean, like, 'cause people like, they mad that the weekend didn't get no nominations, and Griselda was ignored, and so I just tell people like it's the Grammys. They've been doing this for years. I'm not surprised. I don't really care about the Grammys anymore anyway. So
Yeah.
you
Word. That was a statement on that. But it's all good. Like I said, people going out there and doing, I think there's a place for everything. There's that commercial hip hop, that's fine. Toe tap your foot in the club. Like that's, Sean P had another comment on that saying like, people might be like, oh, that shit is whack. But if I'm in the club, I might be tapping my foot to Drake or whatever. And it's true. Everything has a, I guess has a place. Whatever. But it's like, I guess the true school stuff is like now kind of the only thing I would like about that is let's like have this the manipulation. You know what I mean, like there's the manipulation of like trying to shelve artists, trying to like all those funny like black label politics, like that type of stuff, man. Like
right,
it's fine, you want to do your pop stuff, but like let people have what they want. Don't try to like that's the thing. They stopped wanting artists that like had their own mission and their own thing that they wanted to say. And they're like they started getting people that will follow their agenda, and people who would just make like a similar type of sound of music. But back in the day, like I'm pretty sure like Jimi Hendrix, people like that, they were running the show because it's like they were the talent, so like you're supposed to kind of have more to say in the way that the music is. You do your job, you promote it or whatever, but I'm gonna tell you what the single is. You're not gonna tell me what the single is. It's my music. So artists lost a lot of their control, man. So it's all good. Like I said, it's come back, full swing with everyone now being able to be their own artist and their own label. So it is what it is.
do you have like a like top five producers all time, or just like one favorite producer?
Wow, top five producers all time.
Yeah,
That's a good question. I would
and
give
it don't have to
MC.
be like commercial. It could be like underground producers, whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, like I could probably like I haven't curated it, but I could definitely rattle off a few. I know I like I don't know why this came to my first one. Stoop, who produced for Jedi Montrix. I like
Yeah,
him a lot.
he's dope.
Um, yeah, he's a dope producer. I think who's some of these guys? I think Knots is a really great
Great.
producer.
Hmm.
Um, let's see who's some other guys out there. Evidence is he didn't produce that song. My man JBL produced it, but I think Evidence is a kind of very underrated producer.
Definitely.
I think he's got some heat. I would say, hmm, Alchemist. I've done a lot of freestyles over his beats. I've always been a fan of his. I really dig Alchemist beats, and And then maybe someone like Havoc, Havoc from Mobb Deep.
Yeah,
Some real funky beats. Some definitely those type of beats that like I feel like rappers too. They make beats like that are conducive to rapping on because they've done it. So they
right.
know the BPMs already kind of built in. So yeah, I would say Havoc. Those five right there. If they were producing an album for me, I think I feel pretty good about that.
So, I love all of those producers, man. Like Evidence, Havoc,
Mhm.
Stu Bangs is killing it right now. And that definitely
Mhm.
some great beat makers, you know.
Word.
And he also produced the Bang this joint, right?
Bang this, that was Marco. That's
Oh,
Marco. I mean, yeah,
Marco.
Marco. Without goes without being said.
Yeah,
I've Marco's produced three or four tracks for me, um, and we had a few that we didn't ever ended up like releasing and stuff like that. But yeah, Marco for sure. He's another one of mine. Oh, and then the person who was kind of like his mentor, Ayatollah.
right.
Ayatollah is a really dope producer as
Oh
well.
yeah, underrated. Yeah, yeah. Oh my bad. Stu Bangs produced Debut. He did that joint.
Oh, Stu Bang produced debut, but the producer that I was mentioning is actually Stoop,
Okay.
Stoupee, and he was there. He's the producer for Jedi Mind Tricks
Yeah,
with Paz.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. I love it. I grew up on a lot of their music too. Jedi Mind Tricks, underrated group.
Word,
Stu underrated beat maker. So yeah, definitely some heat.
yeah, man, I
Um,
like that hard knock.
yeah, same here. Like that to me is like the essence of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Mhm.
commercial stuff, some of it is good, but
Mhm.
I get towards the underground stuff. I think they're the most creative ones. Like they don't have a label telling them what to do, and they just go for creativity.
Exactly. Yeah, man. I'm a drums guy too. So those drums, man, like that's where it stems from, and those originally, like doing a lot of those loops and stuff like that. But just the way you could chop them up and have those drums sounded just like it was like tribal. Like you would hear hip hop and like that shit would just have you ready for whatever, man. It was just like a very empowering, invigorating thing, and that's what I really miss about hip hop.
So
Had fun.
is there like anybody that you want to like work with in the future, or just like the cats you working with now?
Oh yeah, no, I mean there's plenty of I have a long bucket list of people I would want to work with. There's a lot of people that I probably had chances to or had times when I could have made that happen. I didn't jump on, but something that comes to mind like Rockness, um, and that guy is unbelievable as well. So Rockness Monster from
Oh, yeah,
Boot Camp Click. Um, Someone like Kool Keith is somebody I've always wanted to do a song with. He's that he is I mean he's very influential in my style, and growing up and just being someone who's like really innovative and stuff like that to this
man,
day, the longevity. So that's one of my definite favorites. Kool Keith. Andre 3000 is someone I was also very heavily influenced by,
man,
um, and someone like yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a long range. Like someone like Thurston Howell the third from Brooklyn, like that guy as well is amazing to me. Like he hasn't, isn't like out there super, but it's like everything I hear from him is like amazing,
man.
smashing, videos, crazy, entertaining. So big fan of that dude. I would love to do a track with him.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, man. Like there's so many talented people out there. Like I said, I'm not always up on my hip hop the way I should be. That's why I'm trying to get back into it a little bit more and be like a little bit more social. Following your account and stuff like that, and trying to link up with heads and get back into the community. I miss the days when it was like you would go to the shows and you would see people. You know what I mean, and just had the park battles and all that type of shit. And it was more in person. So now with this whole shutdown and all this type of shit, everything's all spread out.
Yeah,
I gotta find that community online. So it's definitely good to link up. But yeah, those plenty of producers too. I'm trying to think of off the top of my head, but it's like man, yeah, there's so many talented people out there. I love collabing. I also love like here's another person I just thought of. I saw a song with Rock Marciano like that. I think that guy's amazing lyrically. Um,
he's
but
dope right
yeah,
now.
word. Yes, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people coming up who was like around when I was doing my thing who are starting to blow up. Nems, it's been crushing it. I've been hearing his shit. I was like, man, I remember when that dude was like skinny, like a long time ago. He's big, and now his balls are even bigger. I was like, word to him. It's good to see people just sticking in it, like myself, and just like just stay in the game, man. Just keep sharpening your sword. It really shows, like that longevity will show the people that was really, really
Right.
heads. It'll build, all these guys who have been around for a long time, man. I respect that. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's the thing I respect about like my era and my generation too. It's like it's like we were in it for the long haul, man. So we keep
Right.
on
Right.
creating. So we're-
So you built like a friendship with Cool Keith, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm it's probably my own friendship at this point. Like my man knows him,
Mm-hmm.
has done a song with him or whatever. But I actually just reached out to him on Instagram, kind of like the same way I met Sean P. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably annoying Kool Keith at this point, but I've been hitting him on Instagram, and he's like, yeah, man, whatever, we're gonna work something out, what I mean. But I just been kind of bugging around, like doing funny little things. He's, I started sending him. I just sent him a message initially, like, hey man, I really appreciate, your contribution to hip hop and all that. Like, I just wanted to let you know that you have like a unclaimed son. And I sent him a couple of my shits, and he liked them. So it's like I was like, wow, Keith has heard me flow now. This is awesome. And I've been hitting him up and talking. Actually, I wanted to, I want to do a project with him where he's producing it as well. Everybody knows his lyrics is crazy, but he's also a producer as well. So I would like to have him produce, and we rap on it. So yeah, I'm gonna get those funds together for the budget, and I think we'll end up making that happen. Like I told him, I was like, man, that's like, something I definitely have to scratch off the bucket list. But that dude is like, to this day, man, such an innovator still. I don't know, endless verses, man. It's just amazing, amazing to.
I slept on Ultra Mag back in the day. Like I was always I saw their videos and
Mhm.
perform, but I wasn't really they didn't gravitate to me, like
Yeah, me
how
neither. I was too young for it, and like it was just kind of over my head. But I would like look at him like, this is crazy. This dude's rapping with a bird cage on his head, and it's like he had the cadence, but I was like, it was just over my head. And then my man Booty from the Neurologist, who was one of my producers, like he was like a big Cool Key fan, and he put me up on them. So I had to just, I had to just digest it all. And he had all the unreleased, B-side stuff, and he was like playing me all the verses, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's crazy. So I kind of like it, I had to get a little bit older before I could digest it. But yeah, I
yeah,
was the same way. I was hearing that stuff, but it just wasn't super resonating with me at that time.
right,
Now I get it, like the whole, what he was doing with the on beat, off beat, the way he was rapping. I was just like, wow, now I can see it. It's like a, it's like a Picasso or something. It's just a
right.
crazy painting that you just didn't even like, what the hell is this at first.
Yeah, he's definitely always had his own lane and as far as like style and lingo and everything. So
Word,
you know,
word. And live performing too. That's one of the things that's like, I guess like the old school they're so good at, man. Those dudes that came up, like, again, you had to like you had to be live, you had to be doing a lot of shows. I saw
right.
him at like Limelight one time, um, yeah, with Ice T as his hype man, and both
Wow.
of them. I was like, man, I was like, these guys is OGs, but they got it down, man. Their stage show, the mic control, all that. It was a thing, it was a thing to witness. So I
Yeah,
appreciate that
that's crazy, man.
stage show.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, do you have like any upcoming projects coming up, or are you just gonna wait it out, or
Yeah, the project I'm working on now is I usually come up with the titles years in advance. Like I have probably the titles for my next three albums, but the one I'm working on now is called Day Late Dollar Short, and I'm like four or five tracks in right now, all produced by my man Nova, who's done stuff for me for years. He's done a lot of my mixtapes. My man Nova from Philly. So yeah, I'm like four or five tracks deep, and I'm just gonna start, just keep recording until I have enough material, 20, 25 tracks or so, and then pick the best ones, and start doing some visuals for one of the songs, do a just drop a single, and then probably just start dropping like songs like month by month or whatever, and just kind of do like a staggered release like a lot of cats are doing now. So but yeah, definitely back on the project thing again.
I'll definitely like check for that, and you got to come back on here and talk about that album, and you know,
Sure.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm glad that you're doing here and was
Word.
able.
Anytime, man. It's it's always a pleasure. Like I said, I'll talk shop, I'll talk hip hop all day long, man. I appreciate, like I said, what guys like you were doing, keeping the culture alive, man. And it's a beautiful thing, man. I hope everything's peace for you out there on the East Coast. I ain't been out there for a second, so I can't wait to get back to NY, man. But for sure, I'm here, man, and stay tuned. But I'll jump back on this whenever, man. Just hit me up,
Yeah,
That's all, brother.
yeah. Before you leave, like give people like where they can hit you up at.
I mean, you get me up on Instagram. At Million Dollar Day, DAE, with the E at the end or whatever. You can find me on Twitter at, I think I'm still the real one day on Twitter, which I don't use as much, but I'll still get them messages. And you can hit me up on YouTube at, /1day. And that's where I'm going to be kind of focused on more, trying to do some more videos and live streams myself and just keep people updated on the whole process. So yeah, definitely check me out over at YouTube /1day.
And you have a website, oneday.net.
I did have a website actually that has been whatever. I'm rebuilding a new one. So that was not shut. That one's kind of like shut down. But I'm gonna be rebuilding a new one and putting the whole catalog on there. And I'm kind of revamping all that. I have like a lot of unreleased stuff, so I'm gonna be doing like zip drives and stuff like that, full of the whole catalog. So yeah, that'll be back up. Next time I come back on the show, I'll probably be promoting a new website and all that.
Yeah, you're welcome back anytime. Like I have fun. I was kind of nervous because I never did like an interview or anything before. I didn't want it to make it like a big interview. I wanted it to be like a just regular talk with dope
Yeah, man.
artists. So I'm glad that you were able to come on.
For sure, for sure. It seemed like you've been doing it, for years to me. So it's all good, man. You ask good questions, and yeah, I'm more than happy to jump back on, man. Like I said, I appreciate your contribution to hip hop too, and just that promotion and just that love, man. So I see you always doing the reviews of the albums and shit like that. And so, like I said before to you in the DMs, like artists, like we need cats like y'all, man. It's a very necessary part of the, of the community. So much love to you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. And
Word.
I'll definitely hit you up so we do this again.
That's what's up. All right, y'all.
All
Until
right,
then, until the internet world, peace.
peace.
Yeah.